Let's talk about something most men don't hear enough. There are certain things a woman can say to you that should be your final warning sign. No excuses, no second chances. When she drops these lines, she's not being cute or honest. She's showing you her true mindset. And as a man who values his time, energy, and self-respect, you need to be smart enough to walk away immediately. This video is going to break down 5 specific things women say that should make you hit the exit door without looking back. Because here's the truth. A lot of men today are stuck in situations where they're constantly disrespected, undervalued, or manipulated, and they stay there. Why? Because they're afraid to lose her, or they've been taught to always give women the benefit of the doubt. But not every woman deserves that level of patience. Some women weaponize your loyalty and feed off your confusion. I'm not here to bash women. I'm here to wake men up. Because once you recognize the kind of woman who hides behind sweet words but shows toxic patterns, you'll stop wasting years of your life trying to fix what's clearly broken. Some statements are more than just phrases. They're red flags in disguise. And once you hear them, you don't argue, you don't explain, you leave. And don't worry, I'm not just going to throw out random quotes. I'll explain exactly why each of these lines is a deal breaker and what it reveals about her mindset, so you know what to look for the next time you hear it. So if you're tired of being confused by mixed signals or constantly walking on eggshells, pay close attention. This isn't just relationship advice. It's protection for your peace, your purpose, and your future. Let's get into it. 1. I don't owe you anything. When a woman tells you, I don't owe you anything, what she's really saying is, I want the benefits without the responsibility. And that's a major red flag. This phrase usually comes out when you start to set a boundary, ask for clarity, or expect some form of basic respect. You might have invested your time, your energy, even your money. But the second you bring up anything that requires her to show accountability, she hits you with, I don't owe you anything. Now here's the truth. She's technically right. No one owes you anything in this world. But when a woman says that in the middle of a relationship, or even a developing one, what she's really doing is rejecting the idea of mutual effort. She wants your attention, your consistency, your emotional support, but she's making it clear that she's not going to give anything back unless she feels like it. Let's be real. Relationships are not just about romance or attraction. They're about reciprocity. And if a woman shuts that down with this line, she's telling you straight up that she wants to stay in control, avoid accountability, and keep you in a one-sided situation. That's not empowerment, that's manipulation. You need to understand what this statement signals. She does not value your investment. She views you as replaceable. It's her way of protecting her position of power, while still enjoying everything you offer, without having to meet you halfway. Let me put it like this. Imagine you've been consistent with her for weeks, taking her out, checking in, showing up when she needs something. One day, you bring up the fact that you feel like she's pulling away or not reciprocating. Instead of listening or being honest, she snaps and says, I don't owe you anything. At that point, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about clarity. She just told you exactly where she stands. She's not trying to build with you. She's trying to drain you while keeping her freedom. And here's where most men mess up. They hear this line and think, okay, maybe I came on too strong. Or maybe she just needs space. No. What she needs is for you to walk away and stop rewarding her selfish mindset with your loyalty. A high-value man doesn't beg for reciprocity. He pays attention to the signals and chooses women who value connection over control. When a woman shows you she's not emotionally responsible enough to give even basic respect, believe her, and most importantly, leave. 2. That's just how I am. When a woman says, that's just how I am, what she's really doing is slamming the door on growth. She's telling you, I'm not willing to change, no matter how much it affects you or this relationship. And that's a major problem. This phrase sounds innocent at first, even a little confident. But if you're paying attention, you'll realize it's one of the most dangerous things a woman can say. Because it's not just about her personality. It's about her attitude toward accountability, toward self-awareness, toward the relationship you're trying to build. You might hear this after you point out something that's hurting the connection. Maybe she's constantly disrespectful, cold, dismissive, or emotionally all over the place. And instead of listening, or even considering your perspective, she cuts it off with, "That's just how I am." Translation? Deal with it. She's not open to learning, adjusting, or even trying to understand how her behavior affects you. It's her way of saying, "Take me as I am, even if that means I treat you poorly." Now here's where it really gets twisted. A lot of guys confuse this with strength or independence. They think, well, she's just being real. No, she's being rigid. There's a difference between having personality and having an ego that refuses to evolve. Healthy people grow. They listen. They take feedback seriously, especially when it comes from someone who cares. But when a woman uses this phrase as a shield, what she's really doing is protecting her comfort zone, not your relationship. And let's be honest, if a man used that same line every time he acted selfish, emotional, or distant, he'd get dragged for being immature. So why should you accept it from her? The truth is, men have been taught to tolerate emotional laziness from women, to excuse it, to make peace with it. But if you're a man of value, you don't tolerate behavior that lacks accountability. You don't stay in a dynamic where one person grows while the other hides behind just being themselves. Because here's the thing. If she really valued you, she'd want to improve, not justify toxic behavior. She'd want to become a better version of herself, not stay stuck in patterns that damage the connection. So when a woman says, "That's just how I am," and she says it with pride, not reflection, take that as your cue. She's not ready for something real. She's comfortable in who she is, even if who she is constantly makes you feel small, confused, or undervalued. You don't fix that. You don't argue with it. You recognize it, and you move on. Because the moment someone refuses to grow, they've already outgrown you. 3. I can have any guy I want. When a woman says, "I can have any guy I want," what she's doing is flexing ego, not connection. She's not trying to bond with you. She's trying to prove her value by threatening yours. And that should immediately tell you where her priorities lie. This statement isn't about confidence. It's about control. It's a subtle way of saying, "You're lucky I'm even giving you my attention, so don't step out of line." And a lot of men don't catch the disrespect hidden in it because they confuse arrogance with self-worth. Let's be honest. When a woman constantly reminds you of how many options she has, she's not focused on you. She's focused on the attention she's getting from others. She thrives off the idea that there's always someone better waiting in the background. And she wants you to feel that pressure. She wants you to compete for her, while she offers the bare minimum. Now, this kind of mindset is rooted in insecurity, not power. Because women who are truly confident and emotionally mature don't need to compare themselves to others or remind you of what you could lose. They don't weaponize their desirability. They bring peace, not pressure. But when a woman speaks like this, she's building the relationship on fear. Fear of being replaced. Fear of not being good enough. Fear that if you don't do everything perfectly, she'll upgrade. And if you fall for that game, you'll start acting out of anxiety instead of strength. You'll overgive, over-explain, and overcompensate, just to avoid losing her. But here's the catch. You've already lost something the moment you tolerate that kind of mindset. You've lost your power, your position, and your peace. And for what? To prove to a woman that you're worthy of her attention? The truth is, any woman who respects you won't need to make you feel replaceable to feel powerful. She won't constantly put herself on a pedestal just to keep you chasing. Because when someone truly values you, they don't compete. They connect. They don't remind you they have options. They show you why you matter. So when she says, "I can have any guy I want," what she's really saying is, "I still think I win by making you feel small." And that's not love. That's ego. Don't fall for that illusion. As a man of substance, you don't stay in places where your presence is treated like a privilege she can revoke at any time. You don't play games where your worth is constantly being measured against imaginary competition. You simply walk because you can have any woman who respects what you bring to the table. And that is the mindset of a man who doesn't beg for value. He walks in it. 4. You're too insecure. When a woman tells you you're too insecure, she's not always trying to help you grow. Sometimes she's trying to shut you down, and if you're not paying attention, you'll end up questioning your own sanity instead of recognizing the emotional manipulation in her words. Now, insecurity is real. Every man has faced it. But this phrase often doesn't come up during healthy conversations. It usually gets thrown at you the moment you start noticing red flags or calling out behavior that doesn't sit right with you. You bring up something that's bothering you, suddenly you're too insecure. You try to set a boundary. You must be insecure. You ask for respect. Wow, your insecurity is showing. Let's be clear. There's a difference between being insecure and having standards. But the moment you enforce those standards with a woman who doesn't want to be held accountable, she'll flip it around to make you look like the problem. Why? Because it keeps her in control. If she can make you feel like your concerns are weak or unmanly, she wins. You'll silence yourself. You'll stop expressing your needs. You'll walk on eggshells just to avoid being labeled insecure. And before you know it, you're stuck in a dynamic where your voice doesn't matter. Because anytime you speak up, you're made to feel less of a man for doing it. And let's be honest, as men, we're already conditioned to bottle things up. Society tells us to be strong, emotionless, and never admit when something bothers us. So when the one person we let close starts calling us insecure for being real, it hits harder, and it makes us shrink. But here's the truth. A secure man doesn't avoid confrontation. He handles it with clarity. He knows the difference between jealousy and genuine concern. He doesn't apologize for wanting respect, loyalty, or consistency. And he doesn't let anyone shame him for having expectations. So when a woman calls you insecure as a way to avoid accountability, recognize the game. She's not helping you grow. She's gaslighting you into silence. A woman who respects you will make space for your thoughts. She won't attack your masculinity just because you're being honest. She'll know the difference between control and communication, and she'll choose connection over defense. But if every time you open your mouth, she fires back with, "You're too insecure," you're not in a relationship. You're in a power struggle, and you're the one losing ground. Stand on your standards. Speak your truth without shame. And if she can't handle that, she's the one who's not secure enough to be with you. 5. I'm not ready for a relationship. When a woman says, "I'm not ready for a relationship," most men hear it and think, okay, she just needs time. But what she's really telling you is, "I'm not ready to be in a relationship with you." It sounds harsh, but that's the reality many men ignore. This phrase isn't about timing, it's about interest. If a woman feels deeply connected, respected, and excited by a man, she doesn't overthink it. She doesn't wait for a perfect moment. She dives in. Women don't hold back from something they truly want. They only hesitate when they're unsure, unbothered, or keeping their options open. The mistake men make is sticking around, thinking, if I keep showing her I'm a good guy, if I stay patient, eventually she'll see I'm the one. But in most cases, what you're actually doing is placing yourself in the friend zone with extra effort. You keep giving boyfriend energy while she keeps reminding you she's not ready. That's not loyalty. That's slow rejection. Now here's where it gets even more confusing. After telling you she's not ready, she might still call you. She might still flirt, spend time with you, vent to you, even let you pay attention to her like a man in love would. And you think, well, she wouldn't do all that if she wasn't interested, right? Wrong. She's interested in the benefits, not the bond. She likes the comfort of you being around without having to give you the commitment you actually deserve. Picture this. You've been seeing this woman for weeks. You're taking her out, being consistent, treating her well, trying to build something solid. You finally ask her where things are headed, and she looks at you and says, "I'm not ready for a relationship right now. I just need to figure myself out. Then, 2 weeks later, she's dating someone new. That moment right there teaches you everything you need to know. When the right person shows up, the one she actually wants, suddenly she's ready. Suddenly, timing isn't a problem. Suddenly, she knows what she wants. So, what does this mean for you as a man? It means when you hear those words, don't wait, don't chase, don't hope. Accept what she said and move on. Not in bitterness, but in strength. Because the moment you accept that you're not what she's looking for, you give yourself permission to find someone who actually sees your value without hesitation. A high-value man doesn't beg for readiness. He doesn't stick around hoping to be chosen. He walks away from confusion and makes room for clarity. So when she says, "I'm not ready," hear it clearly. She's just not ready for you. And that's your cue to stop proving and start walking. 6. If you loved me, you'd. When a woman says, "If you loved me, you'd," she's setting up a trap disguised as a test. This phrase is loaded with expectation and pressure, and it's one of the quickest ways to turn love into a battlefield. You see, love isn't about conditions. It's not about proving yourself over and over. But this phrase implies that your love isn't enough unless you do exactly what she demands. Her way, on her timeline. It's a subtle way of saying, you better meet my standards or you don't really care. And that kind of emotional blackmail is toxic. The problem is, when a man hears this, he can start doubting himself. Suddenly, you're scrambling to decode the right way to show love, trying to anticipate every demand before it even comes. You become reactive instead of proactive. You lose your sense of direction because you're chasing approval, not building connection. And that's exhausting. Love should empower both people. It should build trust, not fear. But when "if you loved me, you'd" becomes a common phrase, it flips the script. Instead of being partners, you become a performer in a never-ending show of proof. You're expected to constantly validate her feelings by bending over backward, and if you don't, you're not loving enough. It's a no-win situation. Plus, this phrase often hides manipulation. It's a way to control how you act by guilt-tripping you. It can cover everything from small requests, "If you loved me, you'd call me every hour," to serious demands. "If you loved me, you'd quit your friends or your job." And when you comply just to keep the peace, you're losing more than respect. You're losing your identity. Real love isn't conditional. It doesn't demand proof like a contract to be signed. It's a choice, made daily, that flows naturally from respect and understanding, not from fear of failing tests. Recognize the weight behind it. It's not about love. It's about control. A man who knows his worth doesn't respond with desperation or explanations. He listens, sets boundaries, and stands firm. Because true love is earned by who you are, not by how well you jump through hoops. If love feels like a checklist, it's time to walk. 7. You're lucky I even chose you. When a woman says, "You're lucky I even chose you," take a moment to really let that sink in. This isn't a compliment. It's a power move disguised as gratitude. And as a man, you need to wake up and see what's really going on here. Too many men fall into the trap of thinking they should be grateful just for getting a woman's attention. They hear this phrase and think, "Wow, she sees my value." But that's backwards. It's actually a red flag waving right in front of you. If a woman truly respects you, she won't make you feel like you're the lucky one. She'll show you that she values you by how she treats you, with respect, care, and genuine appreciation. But when you're told you're lucky to be with her, it means she's putting herself on a pedestal and you in the dirt. And here's the harsh truth most men don't want to admit. You allowed it. You allowed her to set the terms of the relationship like a prize you had to win. You accepted a role where your worth depends on her approval instead of your own standards. You handed over your power, and now you're stuck feeling like you have to earn basic respect just for being around. That's not love, that's submission, and it's time to wake up. A high-value man doesn't beg for choice. He is the choice. He knows that respect and loyalty aren't gifts given out of obligation. They're earned through mutual effort and genuine connection. If a woman thinks she's doing you a favor by choosing you, that means she's already checked out emotionally. She's not there because she wants to be. She's there because it benefits her in some way, or because you let her stay. Too many men ignore this because they're scared of being alone, or they've been taught to settle quietly and be grateful. But settling for someone who makes you feel like an option, not a priority, is a disservice to yourself. Wake up to your worth. Don't settle for being the consolation prize or the backup plan. A real partnership is about both people choosing each other freely, excitedly, and without hesitation. If she's reminding you that you're lucky, it means she's not in love with you. She's in control of you. And that's not how it should be. You deserve someone who's proud to be with you, not someone who acts like they're doing you a favor. So the advice here is simple. Stop accepting crumbs. Stop shrinking to fit someone else's ego. Stand tall, know your value, and demand the respect you deserve. Because if you don't, you're the one losing, not her. Today, too many of you are wasting your time with women who don't respect you, don't value you, and don't want to commit. You're out here chasing validation from someone who's already checked out emotionally, telling yourself, if I just try harder, she'll change. But she won't. Not because she can't, but because she doesn't want to. The harsh reality? When a woman drops these 5 phrases on you, it's not a challenge or a test. It's a clear exit sign. And the longer you stay, the more you lose your self-respect. Men, this is your wake-up call. If you ignore these red flags, you're not just losing her, you're losing yourself. I want you to stop pretending it's complicated and start seeing the truth for what it is. Love isn't about begging for scraps. It's about walking away when the deal isn't right. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever heard these phrases? How did you react? Did you walk away or did you stay? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'm here to connect with you, not just talk at you. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about women or relationships. It's about becoming the man who knows his worth and refuses to settle for anything less. So speak up. Let's get real. Your story matters.